Parents, let's talk about how youth ministry can help you with your most important job, which is discipling your kids. When parents and youth leaders work together, we can accomplish our ultimate goal for our students, which is turning them into disciples who make other disciples. In order to do this, we need to understand a few things. And parents, you need to understand this. Parents have the responsibility of discipling their kids. At the end of the day, it isn't up to the church or even up to the youth group to disciple your students. It's up to you. God makes this point pretty clearly. Look at Deuteronomy 6 through 7. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I'm giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. In this passage, God gave commandments to his people, and he wanted them to obey them. He wanted them to be committed to his commands. But notice what he says here in verse 7. He tells parents, repeat these commands over and over again to your kids. In other words, using our terminology, he's saying, parents, you disciple your kids. It's up to you to do it. Ephesians 6:4 says something similar. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them. Rather, bring them up with the discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. This verse, specifically addressed to fathers, focuses on the fact that you're supposed to bring up your students, bring up your children with the discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. In other words, you're supposed to teach them how to pursue God. You're supposed to turn them into disciples. Parents, understand that you are the ones who are responsible to disciple your students. Now, that may seem like a big job, and it is a big job. It's an important job, but there's good news. Youth leaders support you in discipling your kids. That's what your youth ministry is here to do. It's here to support you. Let me explain 3 ways how we support you in discipling your kids. First off, we use sermon link videos. Hopefully you're familiar with the sermon link videos. These are the videos we produce each week to complement the sermon. The videos summarize the week's sermon. They go into subjects and topics that we couldn't fully explore in the sermon. And there's special videos for kids and for students. In our youth small group, we go over these youth videos and talk about these topics and talk about issues related to the sermon. So if you're familiar with Sermon Link and with pursueGOD.org videos, you're familiar with the kinds of material that your students are covering in their small groups. And this leads us to the second way we support you. Parents and teenagers are learning the same material. We've realized that the best way we can equip you as parents is to have students and parents as much as possible learn the same material. So for example, whatever the sermon topic is on a Sunday is also the sermon topic for small groups with adults that go on throughout the week, and it's also the topic for our youth small groups that week. So you don't ever have to worry about being lost because your students are talking about stuff that you don't understand or you haven't gone over yourself. You're all learning the same material. You're all wrestling with the same issues and discussing the same kinds of questions. Which leads me to the third way we support you. A student's small group enhances what they're learning at home. Each week, take your kids through the youth video and maybe some of the other adult videos that are appropriate for them. Then when your student gets to their small group, they've already been thinking about this material. They already have ideas formed. They've already thought through some of their initial questions. They'll be able to help other students in their group who don't have parents who are actively discipling them. You're not on your own when it comes to discipling your kids. Youth ministry is here to help you. So let's work together and help your student become a disciple who makes disciples. You can go ahead and pause the video here and think about some of these questions, or if you're watching this with other parents or in a group, discuss these questions among yourselves.